What's up, everybody? I hope you are still starting this year with a right pace, with everything good in your agendas, in your goals, etc. As far as Interlingual goes, this is another session of the Let's Talk show. I am Mike Reese, your usual host, and today we are going to cover quite a topic. I feel the honey already. I feel good vibes in the air. I feel pretty good because today's topic is about love. But not necessarily the love you have for one another. We will also cover the love that we have for ourselves. So be sure to follow us throughout this time because a lot of things are going to be shared. Maybe you can take notes of some of the experiences that our guests have to all of you. And also be sure to participate in the comments to leave your opinion, something that you may want to share with us related to the topic. Love. P.S. I love you. I feel good already. But without further ado, let's bring out our first guest. Coming back. Well, after quite a while, we have Fernanda, who has quite an interesting story. Hi, Fer. Welcome back.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for having me here.
You're always welcome in the Let's Talk show, and I thank you for allowing us to share your personal experience. To call it like that, information about your relationship. As I understand, you have been in your current relationship for almost 8 years now. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Next month will be our 8-year anniversary.
May I ask which day?
The 23rd. Why?
I was hoping it would be, as an incredible coincidence, I was hoping it would be maybe February the 14th, Valentine's Day. Well,
no.
it is commonly known as the month of love for a lot of people, and it's quite a month to have an anniversary. 8 years. Wow. May I ask, how did you guys meet in the first place?
So we met in high school. Actually, she was a friend of a friend. And this common friend had a Christmas party. And so, I went to the Christmas party, but there were a lot of people that I didn't know, previous friends of hers. And I only knew this guy, my current friend, and another friend. But by that time, I didn't really knew him that well. Didn't really know him that well. We just exchanged a few words, maybe once or twice. But in that party, we felt we don't know these people, so maybe we can talk to each other. And we are both nerds. So obviously we started talking about movies and TV shows and video games we used to play. And I noticed how easy it was to talk to him. There was another friend with us talking, but then we were kind of in our own bubble. There was a point in the party where, and it was in a garden. There was a point in the party where we just lay down in the grass. It was night, so we're looking at the stars above. And it was in that moment, I realized it wasn't that moment where I fell in love with him, but it was in that moment where I realized that I wanted to have him in my life. If it was a friend or even more, I would be glad to spend time with him. And then, things happened. We started together. We started spending over 3 hours between classes, just talking, showing photos of our other friends, our previous experiences, and then we're together.
You mentioned that from that time, from that night, you said you would be happy to have him in your life. But who made the first move? You or him? And how did it go?
Yeah, it was me. um,
Right on, sister.
yeah, because I really I really like this guy. Like, I want to try out how it would be to have a relationship with him. And like, it was high school. It was all very sweet.
Oh,
I remember the day I asked him out. Uh, oh my god, we were discussing the Oscars nominations that year. Well, the previous, yeah, that year. And my friends were outside of the little like space that we were in, and they were just like, "Come on, tell him." And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed." But yeah, like I stopped him dead in his tracks. I don't even remember what we were talking about, other than it was the Oscar nominations. And he was like, "Hey, I really like you. Would you like to go out with me?" And he was shocked at first, but he was like, "I mean, I really like you too. So yeah, we can do this." Yeah.
bullseye. Wow. That was such a sweet story. You made my next question a lot easier because you already share that, the things that you have in common. Most notably, your interests. You both like video games, you both like movies. But may I ask, what are the things that, I don't want to say separate, but maybe what are the things that you have in a different way? Like, what does he like that you don't like, and vice versa? Or what have you known because of him, and vice versa?
Okay, that's a very interesting question because even though we like the same things, within those things, we have very different interests, um,
Okay.
which I think is something super healthy to have in a relationship because that allows for you to know a little bit more of like outside of your world, to have healthy discussions about stuff in general. Our
Okay.
music tastes are very different. Our eating habits are very different, which is extremely funny. Um, and so he is the biggest film and TV show nerd. So most of the things that I watch right now are because of him. I am easily influenced by him in that aspect.
Wow.
And lately, I've been showing him a lot of music. One of his favorite artists last year was uh, because of me, because I showed her to him, and I think that's something that I would like to touch upon. That even if there are differences,
Mhm.
uh, being open to each other, being open to like explore new things, and open to maybe be wrong in certain opinions. That's part of a healthy relationship, I would say.
Actually, that's what I also wanted to talk to you about. To learn for me at least, to learn, perspectives of different people about this. Because I mean, when we were growing up, people used to say all the time, like, people who are very different are attracted to each other. But then, in my from my experience, I mean, it doesn't necessarily happen to everyone, or it's a complete truth. But from my perspective, that didn't work out in a relationship that I was in a couple of years ago. So what I want to ask you is, what exactly is better, or what do you think is the best option, to have everything in common, or be the same in terms of personality, attitudes, of complementing each other? What do you think it works the best for at least you?
Yeah, I was going to say that depends a lot on the character of each person, I think.
Okay.
In my case, if I were to have a partner that had the exact same likes and exact same attitudes as I do, this is going to sound awful, but it would get kind of boring for me. Like after a while, because there's no new things, there is no new input. There is not this like excitement of, hey, there is this thing that it like these differences can even cause maybe discussions or
Sure.
fights within a relationship. But I think it's healthy to sort these things out than to just like expect everything to be the same always. I was going to say that I would rather have someone compliment me in certain ways, to have these differences to make it interesting, and to give like a bit of to make the relationship a bit more dynamic. I'm sure, my opinion.
You know, throughout my life, I've also learned that in a relationship, there are also like different stages. You are more experienced than me in that matter, because I've never been in a relationship as long as you have. So I would like to ask you, um, you know, everybody goes through the same at the beginning. It's all, you know, like, how can I say it? I mean, at first, during the first months, like, if it's all colors and rainbows, it's all very, like, I feel great, I feel good with you, you're the best thing that ever happened to me, everything. It's a love song, right? But, later on, things get to happen. You get to know the person a little bit better, or maybe you find out some stuff that you were like, oh, maybe this is not like the best option, at least for my own personal sake. The point I am making with this: when did you realize that your boyfriend was the guy? Like, you know what? That's it. This is what I'm staying.
Oof.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's a tough question because I don't know. Again, it's been so long, and I think we had the. I'm going to say we had the fortune of kind of grow into the best version of ourselves
Wow.
by each other. Like, I'm not saying that I made him the best version of himself or he made me the best version of myself, but we went through that process together and we saw each other grow that way. Um, and I'm saying that's lucky for me because that also played an important part in what I wanted to see in my relationship with him.
Mhm.
I think so. Like getting to that point where we know each other really deeply and we are comfortable with being with each other, but also comfortable being like by ourselves, like creating a life by ourselves. Like that point where I noticed like we can be separate, but that doesn't mean we don't love each other any less, or that doesn't mean like our relationship is falling apart. It's just there's love but no attachment. Like the moment when I realized that, like love but no attachment, when I felt comfortable with that, that's the moment where I said like, okay, I can keep going another 8 years.
May I ask, what is the thing that you like the most about being in a relationship, and what's a very difficult thing to handle?
I'm thinking
Sure,
about
don't
these
worry.
questions.
Oh,
What I like the most about being in a relationship is having someone who can help you navigate life. Like there's your friends, there's your family, but I think, or in my case, in my very personal case, having someone to rely on, because there is going to be trouble with my friends, and I can go to my friends for that. And there's going to be trouble with my family, and I definitely can't talk about my family with them, right? So having someone who can help navigate life like that, having this alternative, having someone who will make you company, especially I feel like my partner is he's lovable. He's very respectful of me. He is very also dedicated to us as I am. So this part is what I like the most about my relationship. Like he doesn't necessarily have to be there like 24/7, but if I need him, I know he's going to be there. And what is the most difficult part you asked? I think it relates a little bit with what you asked before about the opposites attract part, because I think we differ the most in our character. He is a person who lives life one day at a time, and I need a 20-year plan to go and take a next decision. So finding that balance it's extremely hard because no one wants to talk about it, but we know we have to. At some point, like there's decisions that we go through, and it's like I need to know right now. But he's like, no, we'll get there when we get there. And no, I need to know like to be sure what is going to happen, so I know what to do. So I think that's the most difficult part. We do get through it because we do encourage each other to talk a lot about what's bothering us. But it's complicated when we have so much different mentalities on how to handle like life and objectives and accomplishments and all of that.
wow. I love. There's so much going on in my mind right now, and I really wished that we had more time and maybe a cup of coffee to talk a little bit more about this. But so far, I thank you a lot for everything that you have shared. Thank you for participating today. And like I said at the beginning of the transmission, Fer, my dear, you're always welcome here. Thank you so much. And for the rest of our viewers, stay on track with us because in a little while, we'll present to you another guest talking about something that you might find very, very interesting. So I'll see you in a few moments, and Fer, be seeing you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Now that the emotional rush has lowered down a little bit in my case, let's get on with the next part of today's show. And we have talked until here about love in a relationship. But what about the love that we have for ourselves? That is very important to know. That is very important to learn how to obtain it, how to dominate it, and how to apply it. It's a whole topic within itself. But fortunately, we have an expert also on the matter. And she is here with us. Making her debut in the Let's Talk show, let's bring out Monse. Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Monse. Good to have you here. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say to me and to all of our viewers. Because let me share something a little bit personal with you. This is a very important topic for me, especially what you are going to talk about, because it really cost me, based on my experience, it really cost me to, actually be aware of self-love. But this isn't about me. From your opinion, why why is it sometimes a very difficult exercise to do when we do introspection? Let's call it that way. A lot of people, it's a very good way to know yourself, but not a lot of people practice it. And I think it's a pretty beneficial way to be closer with our self-love. Why do you think that doesn't always happen?
I think we get caught up in the moment and everyday life. It's really easy in the world that we live in today to just go with emotions and do things automatically. We're not very conscious society. We have a lot of things that we're not aware of. It's really, we have a lot of TV shows, a lot of movies, a lot of social media platforms that really keep you, connected to the internet and other people, but not really connected to yourself. And I think sometimes it's necessary to step away from all of the technology and TV shows and movies and really seclude yourself from all of that so that you can have introspection. At the end of the day, it's just like meditation. It's an ability. It's an ability that anyone can develop. It's not something you are born with. It's something you have to learn. Just we don't get taught that.
All right. And now I want to talk a little bit about your experience, if I may. Tell me, in as a person, in what way you changed when you became more aware of your self-love and when you embraced it? What changed inside of you?
Everything. Everything changes. Everything. You know, even my body changed. It's not something you would expect, but it definitely did. The more I work on myself, because you're never done with working on self-love. It's a constant work, and you have to be aware of it all the time. But the more I do it, the more I work on myself, um, everything changes. My mood changed. The kind of thoughts that I was having changed. The way I was feeding myself changed. The way I was looking at my body changed, and therefore my body changed. And my hobbies changed. My relationships changed. I would say even my personality a little bit, because I got rid of a lot of thought garbage that was preventing me from interacting with people, that was preventing me from being happy and interacting with people in a positive way, and that all went away.
What kept you what kept you from embracing your self-love? What was an obstacle that you had, or obstacles that you have, that prevented you from loving yourself in the past, of course?
I think a big part of it is childhood trauma, which is something that needs to be addressed when you're working on self-love. You have to be aware of the patterns that were programmed into your head, telling you it's just natural for a human being, I think. And I think we all have childhood trauma one way or another. It's a part of life. I think it's something that we need in order to grow. If you don't have childhood trauma, you're not going to have anything to work on for the rest of your life. So we all need that. But you have to be aware that you have it in order to work on that. And I think that's a big part of it. But also a big part of it is the distractions that we have in our everyday life. I think that's like half of it as well, you know. If you don't have time to be in silence, you don't have time to think.
Once you have embraced your self-love, what differences do you notice when you interact with other people, or when you have relationship with, let's say, your friends, or maybe a loved one?
Yeah. You know, a big part of it is also your inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself is the way you speak to other people. So when you nourish yourself and you treat yourself with kindness and love, that just reverberates into other relationships as well. So it changes everything, you know. When you're interacting with people, you tend to be more kind and more loving because that's what you're giving yourself all the time as well.
Would you recommend to others to find professional help in order to obtain their self-love?
That's a two-edged sword kind of question, I think.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not saying people shouldn't get professional help. I think it's about you and what you need. So you can't really compare your personal process to other people's process because it's going to look completely different. We are all different people. We have all been through a different path in life. And therefore, our way to self-love is going to be different, you know? So people might be for professional help. In my personal experience, I have never been to a psychologist. I've never had that type of professional help because I've always felt that no one knows you better than yourself. No one knows your thought process better than yourself. And if you really dig deep, you will have more information than any psychologist will on yourself. And therefore, whatever path follow will be more appropriate than anything anyone can read from. I'm not saying it's not good to go to professionals and get help. I'm saying it wasn't for me personally.
Okay.
But it looks different for everybody.
What measures help you to get to know yourself better?
It's a lot, you know. I think you can't really just say I did this, and this, and then I had self-love. No, it doesn't work.
I understand.
It's a whole process, but some things that really helped me were going into nature. I'm very, very, very big on camping and just being in nature in general. I feel like there's a certain state of mind that you go to when you're in nature, and that helps a lot. But also, I don't know, meditating. Meditating is something that really changed my life. I know it's not for everybody, but it is an ability that we can all develop. And meditation isn't about sitting down and meditating. It's about learning different tools to bringing the meditation state into your everyday life every second of the day. So you'll end up being in a meditative state all throughout your day, or at least that's the goal. And that helped me a lot as well.
Is there something that you would like to say to the old Monse before she learned how to love herself?
Yeah, no, that's a really nice question. Yeah, just, if I could, I would just tell myself, you're okay where you are. So far, your track record for dealing with stuff or for getting over your bad days has been 100%, So you're okay where you are. Everything that's happening is happening for a reason. It's a process. It's all okay. Everything is okay. Whatever happens, it's okay.
Thank you very much for sharing everything that you did. And I thank you so much for your participation today. Of course, you are always welcome in the Let's Talk show. And it was very nice to meet you as well.
Thank you, Mike. It was really nice to meet you as well. Thank you for having me.
I was delighted too. And that goes for all of our viewers as well. I hope this was very helpful for you. I hope you did your notes. Be sure to also leave a comment in the comment section and to tune every single week for more of the Let's Talk show. Monse was with us. Fernanda was with us. Eric Rios was with us in the controls. I am Mike Ruiz, your host. Goodbye and good night. Bye.